So what's up with tariffs? Well, it has been a roller coaster. In early April, Donald Trump announced truly enormous tariffs on most of the world, including, close allies like Japan and the European Union. We're talking tariffs of 20%, 30%, as high as 50%. Within a week, he basically backed away from most of that. So that was the big news that really roiled markets, was the fact that he promised all of these tariffs that he called reciprocal tariffs, and then he seemed to backpedal pretty sharply. So on April 9th, he seemed to kind of get freaked out and move back. So the big announcement was he was going to pause all of those higher tariffs on most other countries for at least 90 days to allow negotiations between the US and other countries. At the same time, he is doubling down on China.
China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it.
So the US, in a series of steps, has raised tariffs step by step, all the way up to 145% on Chinese goods coming into America. That is an astonishing amount. China has retaliated. So really what we've seen in the last couple of days is this shift from this kind of global tariff war to a significant focus on China. So what does it all mean for Canada? Well, we were not subject to those Liberation Day tariffs. We weren't hit with that 10% across the board tariff, and we weren't subject to the higher reciprocal tariffs that have since been rolled back. But, and this is crucial, there was an exemption that was given that basically meant if Canadian and Mexican goods got the stamp that all the content or a portion of the content came from within North America and was able to trade under continental free trade rules, it would continue to trade tariff-free. So the big news for Canada and Mexico is that month-long exemption has been extended. That's very good news. That puts Canada and Mexico in a relatively better competitive position than most other countries. The effective tariff rate of the US on Canada and Mexico is now probably, in the 5 to 10% range. That's below that 10% baseline put on other countries. That doesn't mean we're not still facing tariffs. Trump has put sizable 25% tariffs on auto imports. He has also put 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. Those are major sectors in Canada, and they're very important in specific regions, like Southern Ontario that produces automobiles, Quebec, which produces aluminum, steel towns like Hamilton or Sault Ste. Marie. They're still getting hit very hard by these tariffs.